Happy June, folks, and welcome to episode 444 of AskGSM here today for Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great week so far. June is finally upon us. I am very excited for what's to come between, we got Hell in the Cell on Sunday, In Your House on Saturday. Not the most exciting shows on paper, but, Forbidden Door coming up a little later this month. I know NWA has a pay-per-view, I think, next weekend. Impact has Slammiversary in 2 or 3 weeks. So there's a lot going on in the month of June. More importantly, my birthday's tomorrow, so there is that. But more importantly, though, in all seriousness, all joking aside, a lot to look forward to. And coming here to the channel, very likely between now and Sunday. I'm hoping to put them up on Friday, Saturday, respectively. Don't quote me on that. It could be wrong. My interviews with Joe Gacy, the number one contender to the NXT Championship, and Ezekiel, Elias's younger brother. Those are coming here to the channel before Hell in the Cell and In Your House, respectively, so keep an eye out for those here on the channel in the days to come. But in the meantime, though, we're answering your questions from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you want to send in a question to the show here every single Wednesday, you can do so by tweeting me on Twitter at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. So, per usual, I feel like this happens half the time. I have not put together the document yet of all the questions, so if I miss anything, I apologize. I'm just going off of my YouTube notifications, my Facebook notifications, and my Twitter notifications. So, again, if I miss anything, I apologize. We'll see what I can do here. But Micah Does It once again sent in several questions through YouTube. I'll try to answer as many as I can here. Their first one was, if Roman Reigns is set to go to Hollywood next year, who is going to be the next face of the company? I mean, we've talked about this before. I really don't know. It may even be someone that's not currently in the company. I mean, they're promoting Cody Rhodes. They're promoting the fuck out of Cody Rhodes right now. So you would think if Roman Reigns is not around, it would be Cody. But he and Drew make the most sense. They're also in their mid-30s. Like, I'm thinking to the future. You need someone on the younger side. If someone's going to be the future in the face of the company, the future face of the company for years to come. I mean, Bianca, isn't in her 20s anymore, but she's relatively young. I would say Sasha, if she stuck around, we don't even know if she will. Rhea Ripley's really young. She can be a future face of the company for years to come for sure. I think of Braun Breaker, who is extraordinarily young from NXT, but has a lot of potential. So those are a few names that come to mind. I don't think it has to be one person. And WWE's at a point now where there is real no one face of the company. They promote Roman Reigns as the face of the company, but truly, at this point, for better or for worse, it's all about the brand of WWE and a lot less about each individual person. So when someone leaves, it's not a big blow to their roster. I mean, that's just what it is at this point. Like I said, for better or for worse. So I'm not even really sure if there will be one undisputed face of the company like there is with Roman Reigns right now. But if and when he winds down and is no longer around as much as he is, and we're starting to see that now, I would put my money on Bianca, Rhea, or Breaker being those people. Drew and Cody for the interim because they're not old, but they're not, they're probably closer to the end of their careers than the beginning, I would imagine, because they are in their mid to late 30s. But, we'll see. We'll see. But I think all those people have the potential to be future faces of WWE if they aren't already. His second question, we all know Cody should win Money in the Bank, but who should win the women's Money in the Bank? I would give it to Zelina Vega. I would not give it to Zelina Vega. I mean, I like Zelina, but her character stuff is just, she tries with the character stuff, the whole Queen Zelina thing. She does a good effort. She puts in a good effort. It's just not good. She's not great in the ring. I can think of at least 5 other people I would put the briefcase on before her, so no thanks. I would not put it on Zelina. Liv Morgan would be nice if they actually bother to push her. Now, she is still very over despite losing whenever it matters most, it seems like. I know she won on Raw, but she has yet to win any fucking championships. They never give her shit. It would be cool. I wanted her to win last year. They gave it to Nikki Ash instead, unfortunately. I'm trying to think of whoever else it could be from Raw or SmackDown. Raquel is an option. I don't really see her with the briefcase, though. Shotzi, they don't give a fuck about. Xia Li, they don't give a shit about. On Raw, Alexa Bliss, been there, done that. Rhea Ripley would be interesting. She's certainly a possibility. I mean, she doesn't exactly need it, but it's an option. I just keep going back to Liv Morgan. I mean, I'm sure there's other women that I'm not thinking of, but Sonya Deville would be interesting. but we've kind of already seen her in the championship picture on both brands, so maybe not. I keep going back to Liv, though. I feel like Liv would be an interesting choice for that spot, because you can have her cash in down the road. People would be happy to see her win. It doesn't even have to be on Raw. It could be on SmackDown, you know? Bayley coming back and winning it again. She's already won it before. No thanks. Asuka's already won it before. No thanks. I'm trying to think who else is in the SmackDown women's division that would make sense. Naomi would have been cool, but she's gone. So I'm going to probably go with Liv for the time being, and until I can think of someone else, at some point. Another question from Micah: is The Rock versus Roman Reigns the last big match the WWE has left as far as mainstream draws? I can't think of anyone else or anything else. Yeah, to my memory or to my knowledge, yeah, it is. I mean, they've already done Roman and Cena. They've done Roman and Brock. The biggest money matches that WWE could do probably involve Roman Reigns, and they've done almost all of them, except for Roman and Rock. So, I mean, there aren't any other big-time matches I can think of, other than, like, Roman and Cody in the interim. That's not a big money match by any means, but, like, mainstream draw is what you're saying? Yeah, Rock and Roman, because Rock is a notable name, and people know Roman Reigns and stuff like that. There's the obvious history there. All tribal chief shit. So, yeah, I think the Rock and Roman Reigns match is probably the last big mainstream match WWE can currently book. There might be another one in 5 years, but we already saw Stone Cold come back, and everyone's kind of come back, and Cena's faced every top guy, including Roman Reigns, and lost to him twice. It has to be Rock versus Roman, no doubt. A couple more questions here. Let's see. Do you think within the next year we could see Edge versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania or SummerSlam, or do you think it would be bad for Edge and his health? I mean, I could see that argument. I mean, Edge has, a lot of neck history, obviously, and a history of neck injuries. So I don't know if that would be exactly wise. But, it's a match that I don't think we've ever seen before. They may have done Brock versus Edge once, maybe back in the day on SmackDown 20 years ago, but we haven't seen it since. Edge is a heel now. Brock was a babyface, I think, the last time we saw him. So it would be interesting. I think that'd be a great match for SummerSlam, to be honest. If the AJ and Edge stuff is done by SummerSlam, which I assume it probably will be, and they want to stretch it out till that long and have AJ finally win there, that's a possibility too. But, I think Brock and Edge would make sense for that show, and I would like to see it. So, I'm totally on board for that. Next question from Micah: should WWE bring back $1 Million Mania? Probably not. I mean, that was a fucking disaster. I mean, I started watching Raw around that time in the summer of 2008, the spring of 2008, so I remember that very fondly. I remember punching in my number to the WWE.com survey or whatever. I filled out the form for me to be called, and I remember going to bed and my mom's phone going off right before I walked upstairs, and I was like, this is 14 years ago? I'm turning 27 tomorrow. So I would have been 13, I think. Jesus. Was I 13? I guess I would have been. I guess I would have been 13 years old. And, I'm thinking to my mom, like, I'm trying to tell her, like, answer the phone if Vince McMahon calls and offers you $1 million. So, no, that was a pretty desperate gimmick to garner ratings, which didn't exactly work. But it was a fun period for whatever it was, though. We get to the Facebook questions, which I don't think I pulled up yet. We had one or two from Noel, which I'm trying to pull up now. I have the Twitter questions all set. Like I said, I probably should have done this ahead of time. I just didn't have the time. I may have them on my phone here. Let's try to pull it up. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. So Noah sent in two questions. My bad. Who should be CM Punk's first challenger for the AEW Championship, and was it the right choice for Britt Baker to win on Sunday? Who should be Punk's first challenger? We'll probably find out tonight on Dynamite, I would assume. It depends. Honestly, there's one of two things they can do. You can have him face someone from New Japan, which I would probably do because we don't get the New Japan AEW crossover often. My other option, it would probably be Okada, by the way, or like someone like that, or like an Ospreay or whatever. The thing is, if you don't do that, the other thing I was thinking of was Page and Hangman 2. Now, I know it's not exactly fresh, we just saw it, but I think we should get a continued feud between the two. We don't even have to have it transpire at Forbidden Door. They could do a tag team match of some sort. Maybe they team up or their opponents or whatever, involving New Japan people. That's also possible. The thing is that I'm thinking we haven't seen the last of Hangman turning heel on Punk. We didn't see it on Sunday, but I feel like we will get it at some point. And I was just telling RJ about this earlier, but I think it would be an idea to do the rematch in Chicago and have Hangman cheat to win the belt back there. And people give him immense heat because they love Punk. Hangman's champion again for a little bit. Punk does not need to be champion for 6 months. He could always get the belt back at All Out if they really want to go that route. But I mean, that should be considered a possibility. I feel like that's definitely possible to, cement the Hangman heel turn, and people would really hate him for that. And Punk did not need to be champion for an extended period of time. So that's probably what I would do. If you were to give him like a quick TV match, like a TV title defense tonight, I mean, I could see Miro being brought back. The problem with Punk being champion is that I feel like they don't have a lot of heels for him to face. He's already beaten MJF, and I feel like if they were going to go back, that MJF should win, ultimately. But if you're not going to do that in the interim, what else do you do? Miro, they brush him off and bring him back. Maybe Lance Archer, no. Adam Cole's an option. Punk and Cole would be a lot of fun. Danielson, I've seen people toss around. Punk and Jericho's not happening. Danielson would be great for All Out. I saw some people saying that. I would probably say Adam Cole, and if not Adam Cole, very likely Adam Page at Forbidden Door. I know that's not like the first challenge, like it's not this fresh challenger, but I feel like the feud's not over, and I don't think it should be over. The feud was getting good right before Double or Nothing, and the match was pretty good too, so I'm hoping we have not seen the last of that feud. And the second part of their question, should Britt Baker have won on Sunday? Absolutely not. And I like Baker, but the fact of the matter is this. She's already established Ruby Soho needed that way more than Britt Baker did. She is a fucking loser from a booking standpoint, is Ruby Soho. She lost to Britt Baker back in New York City she failed to become the women's champion that night. She failed to become the inaugural TBS champion back in January against Jade Cargill. She lost to Nyla Rose on Dynamite a few months ago. Never avenged that loss. She then lost to Britt Baker in the finals of this tournament. Like, she can't win shit. She can't win anything. So it's just fucking dumb. It's stupid. So, no, I was not a fan of Britt Baker winning. She gains nothing from winning. If anything, it only does more damage to Ruby Soho, and I'm not even really sure how she's going to bounce back from this. And if their answer is, we're going to turn her heel because she's lost a lot, that would also be dumb because she's over as a babyface. And that would kill her dead even more. What, are you going to take away the music? Stupid. So I don't know where they're going with that, and that was probably my least favorite part of the entire show. The TNT title stuff was stupid too, but as far as like a booking decision, that was beyond dumb. We get to the Twitter questions here. Again, if I missed anything, I apologize. At Iwagu91, their first question was, what is your favorite match of CM Punk's 434-day reign as WWE champion? Mine was Daniel Bryan against Daniel Bryan at Over the Limit 2012. Probably mine too. I mean, he was champion, like you said, for a while. He had a lot of great matches in that time. The Jericho matches were a lot of fun. I really liked the street fight they had at Extreme Rules. Some of the Cena matches were good. I'm trying to think what else towards the end was like really, really good. The Ryback matches were fine. The triple threat at Survivor Series that year was fine. The TLC match with Del Rio and Miz at TLC 2011 was pretty good. It probably would be the Bryan match. I think he and Bryan had some great matches. They had an actual no DQ rematch, which I think people forget about at Money in the Bank a few months later. But I feel like their best match in that company was at Over the Limit 2012. The build was not good, but the match was phenomenal. And I hope we see a rematch at some point in AEW. So I would agree with you on that. That was my favorite Punk title defense, was the Bryan one at Over the Limit 2012. Exactly 10 years ago from a few weeks ago. His second question, would you like to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn become a tag team champions? That's the weird thing. We've seen them team up a lot in WWE. They've feuded a lot. The weird thing is that for the time they were aligned, from, 2017 on TV? They teamed in 2018 for a while. They broke up for a little while. Kevin Owens went back to being turned babyface for the first time. Went back to being a heel for a few months. In the summer of 2019, they teamed up then too. Have we seen them team up a lot since? I don't think we've seen them team up. I mean, I know they did that segment on SmackDown last week, which was wildly entertaining, but they may have gone for the tag titles. I don't remember. They've never actually won the WWE tag team titles, and Kevin Owens has never been tag team champion in WWE, remarkably. It's hard to believe, I know. But yeah, at some point, maybe even as baby faces, I feel like that would be very entertaining too. We've yet to see Owens and Zayn both as baby faces at the same time. So maybe at some point down the road, yeah, I would like to see Owens and Zayn as tag team champions absolutely in WWE before all is said and done. His next question, do you see CM Punk versus Kazuchika, I can't even pronounce his name, versus Kazuchika Okada ensuing and headlining Forbidden Door? It should be a lot easier for me to pronounce Okada's first name, but it's just not. I'm terrible. He also said, P.S., like you and Alexis, I was at G1 Supercard event with my brother. Yeah, that was a great show. It was a lot of fun. Do I see Punk and Okada at Forbidden Door? Like I said earlier, if it's not Punk and Page 2, Punk and Page 2 for the title, which is a possibility. I'm not even saying I would do that. I'm just saying I wouldn't be opposed to it, and it would make sense. I would have Punk face someone from New Japan. I mean, how often are you going to have that opportunity? And to me, it probably would be Okada. I don't think they're doing Bryan and Okada. Bryan's just not that high up on the card right now. He's doing the whole Jericho Appreciation Society shit anyway. And he even told me when I interviewed him last week, check out that interview when you get a chance as well. He said he wanted to face Zack Sabre Jr. So I'm not even sure that's going to happen. But I think Punk and Okada would be the match to do. That's what I want to see, and hopefully we get some kickoff to that tonight. Time will tell. At John Ritland's question, at Reborn Again from the Twitter machine, he is great. Loved your tweets during Double or Nothing. I agreed with most of them. John Ritland's awesome. Check out his channel and his Twitter account as well. His first question was, so Anarchy in the arena, how was that any different from Stadium Stampede? Also, bonus question, I bet you can't guess how I felt about that match, can you? The funny thing is that we're probably in the minority, John, and we don't agree on everything as far as like you like certain stuff, I don't. I don't like certain stuff, and you like it or whatever. I can completely agree with you on this one. I fucking hated that. We go into more detail about it on WrestleRant Radio tomorrow. We already recorded that. Tomorrow's my birthday, so that's why it's pre-recorded. But I fucking hated Anarchy in the arena. They tried. They put in a great effort. The people in the arena loved it. A lot of people online liked it. Cool. It was certainly a spectacle, and I like certain spectacles. That was not one I enjoyed. The music in honor of ECW or New Jack or some shit going on forever was stupid. I didn't like that. It was a fucking mess. The only difference between that Stadium Stampede was more goofy and had more cinematic shit. I honestly enjoyed those more, and I thought Stadium Stampede served its purpose. I didn't really want to see it brought back this year, especially now that we have a full crowd of fans. Why would you do Stadium Stampede again? This was more of an Extreme Rules version of that, to the extreme, and I put emphasis on extreme. I just thought it was a mess. It was all over the place. It was just it was pure anarchy in like the worst way, for me anyway. And I don't even like Jericho Appreciation Society. The stable sucks. I don't even care about the fucking feud, so that didn't exactly help either. And then Jericho Appreciation Society winning, I thought was stupid too. I mean, the stable sucks. And you can't tell me, they just got together, they have to win. Look at the fucking Pinnacle. The Pinnacle got together a year ago. They got together right after, MJF broke away from Inner Circle, and they lost their first major match at Double or Nothing. So don't tell me, they needed to win. They didn't fucking need to win. Jericho does not need to win at this stage of his career on pay-per-view. Give me a fucking break. At Reborn Again's second question here, is Becky Lynch up there for best promo in wrestling these days? Her promo on Raw was just tremendous, I thought. Yeah, it was a really good promo. The thing about Becky that's interesting is that I feel like her promos are polarizing. Not that people call them bad, but I've honestly seen people say that she has not been doing her best work as a heel lately, and that her promos have not been that great. I could disagree. I think Becky as a heel lately has been great. The whole reinvention of her character, losing her mind after losing the championship has been great, changing up her look and whatnot. I've been enjoying Becky's stuff. I've been enjoying her promos. I can't exactly agree with people saying that she's not killing it right now. I think she is. Best promo in wrestling? Can a case be made for that? You said up there. Maybe. I don't know if I would say best promo. You said in wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of people in AEW, I think, that are better talkers than her. And even in WWE, I think Kevin Owens does a great job. Who is the other person? Roman Reigns, I think, does a great job with what he's given. There was someone else in WWE. Cody Rhodes does a good job. Rollins as well. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with that because they hate Rollins' current character. I get it. Man, there was someone else in WWE nowadays, and I'm thinking, yeah, their promos are great. I don't remember who it is. Maybe it was Kevin Owens. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, Becky wouldn't be my number one at all, but she would be up there. Probably the best female talker they have by far. Obviously better than Ronda, better than Charlotte, better than most people they have. So yeah, definitely the best female promo, best promo in general in wrestling. Might be a stretch, but I think she'd be up there. She's really good with what she's doing currently. I would agree with you on that. He said also in regards to Double or Nothing, it was definitely too long, but what should have been cut? Would have and / could have been cut. The Darby and Kyle O'Reilly match served no purpose. We gotta wait until the basketball game's over. No one gives a fuck, dude. Either you're gonna watch the basketball game, you're gonna watch Double or Nothing, and if you're gonna watch both, you'll have it on in the background. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, we're waiting until the game's over. That was stupid. The show really dragged by the end. That was a big issue. So, fuck off with that bullshit. But, yeah, Darby and Kyle O'Reilly was good. Absolutely could have been cut. The TNT title bullshit, that 6-person tag team match, could have been cut. Waste of fucking time. What else could have been cut? Let's look at the card. I just had the card up in front of me a minute ago. Double or Nothing 22. I know those were actually the two matches that were added on Rampage of last week, and I'm thinking, why? Like, why are these even on the show? I don't get it. Oh, a Jade Cargill and Anna Jay? Not good at all. That could have been cut. Absolutely. Probably just those three matches. I just would have given other matches maybe a little less time. House of Black versus Death Triangle was great, but it's like, it was kind of one of the more irrelevant matches on the show. At the very least, I would have cut Kyle O'Reilly and Darby. I would have cut, what did I say, Jade and Anna Jay, and the American Top Team bullshit, or at the very least put it on the buy-in, like they did with Revolution, where they had 3 or 4 matches. Tony Khan said the crowd was quiet. I mean, I guess for Revolution in those matches, he tried it. It didn't work. Whatever. I mean, I liked that a lot. I mean, I thought the crowd was hot, but that's just me personally, but whatever. What's worse, that or burning out your audience on a fucking 5-hour show? Exactly. I mean, it's all preference, I guess, but that's just me. Next question comes from Kyle Rochelle 19. Will there be any SmackDown matches on Sunday at Hell in the Cell? I know Roman is a top star, but all the wrestlers I like are on Raw. When will WWE take the belts from Roman, since he won't defend the belts probably until SummerSlam? Who knows? I really want Roman to defend before then. I mean, that's just ridiculous. To unify the championships and not even have your fucking champion on TV or defending the championships for 4 months is ridiculous. Will they add SmackDown matches? At least one, I'm sure. I know the Usos versus Nakamura and Riddle will probably be made official on Friday's SmackDown. I would have to imagine. That's still technically a Raw match as well, because all the build has been happening on Raw, and Riddle's a Raw guy. The SmackDown exclusive match from the show will probably be Gunther and Ricochet. They've been building towards that. I would give Ricochet or Gunther the win, actually, and give him the Intercontinental Championship. I can absolutely see that being added on Friday's SmackDown. At noob_n_co 1991, due to the recent tweets posted by Bray Wyatt, is it possible that Wyatt might return to wrestling? Definitely, I saw that. Very interesting stuff. I'm still a big Bray Wyatt fan. He was booked awfully in WWE by the end there. They did him no favors. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know if he would go back, especially with all the reports about how Vince would treat him, and they treated him like shit. I don't know if I'd be excited to see him back there. The thing is that I feel like he's WWE or nothing. I just want to see him do more movies and stuff. The guy's insanely talented. AEW might have been interesting 6 months ago, but, like, it's been so long. And not only that, too, but where would he even fit in AEW? Like, if he's going to be managing the Dark fucking Order, would they really pay him what he was getting in WWE? Probably not. Would he settle for that? Probably not. So, I don't know what he does, honestly. Him and Impact would be great. But the problem is, again, I don't know if he fits their budget. Like, I don't know if they can afford to pay him what he thinks he's worth, which I understand. Like Braun, I just feel like he's going to be doing, Braun's doing the control your narrative bullshit, which is whatever, but it might be possible he goes back to WWE, and I don't know how I feel about that. But I want to see Bray back in wrestling in some form or fashion, regardless of the company. The guy is a very talented performer. He's very talented, and there's a lot more he can do. So, hopefully we'll see him back soon. I don't know where. I don't see him doing indie shows and shit, but we'll see where he pops up next, and I'm looking forward to it. At noob_n_co 1991, second question. Do you think that the Owen Hart tournament was a success or a failure? On the men's side, yes, Adam Cole is the right choice, but on the women's side, it's a mess. Why did Britt Baker need to win the tournament? It's definitely not making sense at all. We talked. What's interesting is that I think John actually asked a question about this a week or two ago. My thoughts on whether the tournaments have been like a success or a failure or whatever. And I said a success because the matches have been good. And I'll still give the same answer. We haven't seen the aftermath. The tournaments themselves, I probably won't remember a month or two from now, and the matches in them. There were some pretty good matches, but nothing like instant classics. They were just good. Even the finals of the pay-per-view were just kind of underwhelming to me. Cole winning was fine. He hasn't won anything in AEW yet. I get it. Britt Baker's coming off a year-long reign as women's champion. Why the fuck did she need to win that match? And the worst part is that not only does she not benefit, Ruby Soho feels way worse off than she was before. This woman cannot win shit in AEW, at least anything that matters most. Anything that really matters, she cannot win. And I feel like that did her a great disservice. It might be time to call it a day in AEW if I'm Ruby Soho. I don't know if I'd go to Impact per se. AEW is probably paying her the most amount of money she's going to get from anywhere. But, like, are they building to her winning the Ring of Honor fucking women's title? Like, Jesus Christ, she can't win shit. So, yeah, I was not a fan of that at all. As far as whether the tournaments were a success or a failure, again, they didn't create any new stars. It was more just about honoring Owen. And from that standpoint, it worked. As far as getting anyone else over, it didn't. But we'll see what the actual aftermath is and whether they carry around the championships for the next year or so. I guess we'll find out. At Kyle Rochelle 19's next question, who will Ronda Rousey's first feud be with since there's no one credible on SmackDown? Is it Raquel Gonzalez all summer? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Raquel shouldn't be losing, but WWE may have no choice but to do that feud right now. What other person could Ronda face? That's the thing. On SmackDown, there's nobody. The only other two people that would have been interesting would have been Sasha Banks and Naomi, and they're both gone. Sonya would have been an option, but I feel like she already beat Sonya in 5 minutes a few months ago. That's not exactly enticing anymore. Her and Shotzi, been there, done that. She beat her 90 seconds last month, earlier in May or whatever. No thanks. Xia Li, maybe, if they bother to build her up, maybe. I mean, Shayna's really the only one that I feel like actually interests me. Natalya, I don't give a fuck about. Her and Raquel, I would like to see that continue. They have good chemistry. I like what they're teasing there. I would like to see Raquel turn heel, but with Sasha and Naomi gone, I don't see that happening anytime soon. They need more baby faces on that show. And Charlotte hopefully won't be back for a little bit. So, yeah, I'm going to say at some point Shayna, but I'm not even sure how many people would actually care about that because Shayna's been damaged goods for a while now. At E13A, their first question was, do you think the way MJF versus Wardlow happened was influenced by MJF almost not arriving, or was the storyline always going to end with Wardlow dominating him? That's the million-dollar question, and I feel like we'll never get an answer to that. I feel like there was going to be more of a match planned. It's very rare that AEW does squash match type stuff, and I mean, they treat MJF, or at least did, like a big star. And for him to be beat in 5 minutes was a real statement to send that Wardlow's a big deal. I get it, and I agree. The difference is that, I don't know, I would have had it been a little bit more competitive, but I assumed, honestly, I think it would have been more of a match, but they made it shorter, because we already saw the short stuff on Dynamite when he squashed Shawn Spears. This match should have been longer. It was the most anticipated thing on the whole show, and they knew it was the most anticipated thing on the whole show. So it's not like WWE where they're going to do it in 5 minutes like a fucking Brock Lesnar match. No, I don't buy that. I feel like it would have been longer, but they wanted to get it out of the way early so MJF can come in, do the match, and get out as quickly as possible. So that didn't exactly, it's not surprising, but it was disappointing. So I personally suspect it would have been a longer match, but given the nature of the story, it did make sense it was over in 5 minutes. It wasn't completely random, but I am a little disappointed it wasn't more of a match. Although it did put over Wardlow strong, so that was the positive side of it. His next question, as divisive as Britt Baker winning the Owen has been, do you think an established star to get the first ex-winner moment is inherently a bad idea, or is it fine by itself? It could be, it depends on the person. It depends on the circumstance. I don't think it really matters like the first ever so-and-so has to be a new star. It could also be a notable person, like a notable name that we've known for years, and it brings credibility to said trophy. I'm honestly fine with either one. The issue in this case is that we just saw Britt Baker as the women's champion like 2 months ago. Literally like a little over 2 months ago. She did not need to win that match. And it did way more damage to Ruby than it did anything to gain or did anything to benefit Britt Baker. That was probably my biggest issue with the whole thing. So I'm honestly fine if they want to make the first ever so-and-so an established person. It could be a new person. It depends on the circumstance and who's involved. I just would have gone with Ruby in that case because she needed it more. Britt did not, and the match wasn't that good anyway, but Ruby winning would have been cool. And Ruby's booking has been terrible. So, yeah. As far as like first ever blah, 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 like Adam Cole winning the men's didn't bother me. He didn't benefit from it at all, but he hasn't won anything in AEW yet as far as championships, so it makes sense. And he's an established guy. He's over. I get it. But you could have done that with the men, and then with the women, could have been someone new. And Ruby's not new, but she hasn't won any. I guess Adam Cole hasn't won anything major either, but he's been winning a lot more than Ruby Soho has. She's mostly been on Dark. Most people have kind of written Ruby off because she hasn't won much of note. Adam Cole did not need the win as much as Ruby Soho did, and they could have made someone new with Ruby, and they didn't, so I thought that was a mistake. His next question, with CM Punk as the new AEW champion, do you think this signals the peak of his career? It could, but I don't think it does. I think this could be his last world championship reign, depending on how they book it with Hangman. Could he get it back after that? Could Paige regain it, or could Punk regain it after Paige beats him back for it, which I pitched as a possibility. I don't think it's the peak, though. I feel like we have yet to see Punk as a heel, and that might be where he does his best work. It could flop and not be any good. But Punk as a heel, I feel, is going to be amazing. So I feel like he hasn't peaked yet. I feel like you're going to say at that point, this is the best version of CM Punk we've ever seen. Like, I feel like people were saying that about Jericho 5-6 years ago with the whole It stuff. That was a very entertaining run from Jericho. But then he went on to reinvent himself again in New Japan, and then in AEW, and went on the best run of his career up to that point, and probably ever. So, no, I don't think this is Punk's peak as the champion. It might be his only title win in the company. But as far as creatively, no, I feel like he'll continue to be booked like a top star. He's not going to fall down the ladder after this. I don't think they wouldn't de-emphasize him to the point where he's nobody on that show. He'll always be a featured player on that roster. And he still has a heel run to look forward to as well. So I feel like we barely scratched the surface of CM Punk, being back in wrestling and in AEW specifically. Last couple of questions here. Let's see, at U13A said, do you think Jeff Hardy's run at AEW will be his last? And included a report of him being pulled from Dynamite, being hurt. Yeah, it probably will be his last. I mean, obviously, selfishly, some people like myself would like to see them end their careers in WWE, but, it's nice that we're even getting this stint of their careers at all, this last tag team run in AEW, because a lot of people didn't think it'd be possible, because Jeff would probably be in WWE till the end, but his body is so beat up. They're in their mid-40s now. I highly doubt we'll probably get another extensive run from Jeff in the WWE. This would have been it, and he got fired for, the wrong reasons, but whatever. I definitely think it's a case where this is it. As a full-time run, this is definitely it for Jeff, I think. And hopefully he can go out on top and not get hurt as much, because he's been hurt a lot lately, and he has not looked great in recent weeks. I enjoyed the match at Double or Nothing. I enjoyed that tag team match. But I don't want him out there fucking killing himself in the Darby Allin matches and shit like that, because I feel like it's shortening his career that much more. The whole report is that he's been, as far as the injuries and stuff like that, he's been doing a lot of dumb stuff that he probably shouldn't be doing. He has more matches ahead of him or behind him than he does ahead of him, obviously. But you could be doing more with him in the years to come if he keeps himself healthy. That's the thing. So hopefully he can. And hopefully he can bounce back and be utilized and have a good last couple of years of his career in this stretch of his career or whatever. We'll see. But if he keeps doing dumb stuff, then he's shortening his career that much more, and I don't think that's smart. At E13A's next question, what's happening this Sunday at Hell in the Cell? Excuse me. I'm going to have full predictions up on Bleacher Report, on WrestleRant Radio. I won't give any predictions away here. I'm looking forward to the show doing extended. It has almost no buzz, but the pay-per-views lately have been pretty good, honestly. I thought Elimination Chamber was good. I thought Royal Rumble was good. WrestleMania was great, from WWE anyway. WrestleMania Backlash exceeded expectations. Hell in the Cell has historically never been one of WWE's stronger shows. It has almost always been a not a good show. But I think Sunday has potential with what's on tap. It looks like it's going to be fine. So I don't know what's going to happen exactly. I'll talk about my predictions tomorrow on WrestleRant Radio. It's going to be a video here on the channel, and I think it's already up on Bleacher Report on my predictions from the other day, but we'll see what happens. I'm curious as well. At Mike Ponek from Twitter, has Danhausen replaced Orange Cassidy as the totally over oddball guy in AEW? Can there be two at the same time? Isn't Danhausen versus Orange Cassidy the feud we don't yet know we need? I feel like that might be overkill. I like Orange Cassidy. I love Danhausen. I don't think a feud between the two is the answer. Maybe a team at some point, maybe, but a feud? I mean, maybe on TV. That just sounds like it's going to be fucking ridiculous. So I think they both work well because they face serious people. I think that's when they do their best work. When you put Goofy with Goofy, that just sounds stupid. Like, I would like to see Toriano versus Orange Cassidy at some point as a match. I don't know about as a feud. And Toriano's from New Japan, obviously. But, no, they could definitely coexist at the same time. AEW is a big enough roster where... And Orange Cassidy, too, you got to remember, has way more competitive matches than Danhausen does. I just got done talking about this last week, but Danhausen will not be world champion. He should not be world champion. Orange Cassidy should not be world champion. But I could see Orange Cassidy holding more championships. He's had competitive matches. He has big wins. Danhausen's strengths are like his character work and his promos. Orange Cassidy's strengths, I feel, are his matches. So, because he's a very good worker. I got some heat from that from RJ, but it's true. I feel like he's a very good worker. He's had some very good matches. I wouldn't push him beyond a certain level, but that's the biggest difference between the two, and they can absolutely coexist at the same time, no doubt, especially with the roster being as big as it is. At Rusty Rages, do you think it's a good thing Cole is a little banged up and might be taking a few weeks off so folks stop feeling the burnout with him? He said, I personally don't feel it, just FYI. And his second question was, who do you think CM Punk faces at Forbidden Door, Okada or Ospreay or someone else? The Punk thing I already answered. I already said Okada, ideally. Ospreay would work. I think it could be Paige, but we'll see if it's for the championship. But the Cole thing, as far as like him being overexposed and the burnout with him being hurt, is it a blessing in disguise? Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, he just won the whole tournament. Like you said, I feel like people, I totally get it. He's on TV a lot, like way more than most people. And I like Adam Cole. The guy is great. But you don't want people to get sick of seeing him and all this other shit, because it really is a lot of the same thing anyway. And the guy is great, but you don't want to overexpose him when there's so many other people not getting like half the television time he is. So I didn't really think about it like that, but yeah, it could be a good thing. Cole might go away for a little bit. Because you got to remember, too, he was a feature face in NXT for so long and also never took any time off there either. Because as soon as he left NXT, he was in AEW like 2 or 3 weeks later. So, yeah, him being gone for a little bit, which I don't think he would be. If he's a little banged up, he'll probably still be on the show, just not wrestling. But yeah, it would absolutely not be the worst thing. And they have enough people in that roster to fill in the void in the meantime. Yeah, Thomas_B96. Do you find it hypocritical of some fans to criticize WWE for bringing up AEW, yet lose it when WWE references AEW? I assume you're talking about the Cody Rhodes promo or the Seth Rollins promo from Monday, where he said something about, oh, you try to create an empire with your little friends and it didn't work. That's nothing. First of all, obviously what Rollins said was not true. I don't think it was him taking a shot, but the thing is, they had to fucking mention it. I honestly would have been disappointed if they didn't mention AEW. And what's Rollins going to say? Oh, you created another place for people to work. Like, thank you. Like, they're not going to fucking say that. They have to incorporate the AEW stuff into Cody's character, because that's where he was for 6 years. Or at least outside of WWE. He was in AEW for 3 years. But you know what I mean. Like, they had to acknowledge it. They did. I'm glad they did. They didn't shit all over it. The Wizard thing from Becky was weird. Even Becky said on Twitter that wasn't the line she wanted to use. She gave credit to Chris Jericho. The Wizard thing's stupid anyway. It's not hypocritical, because AEW takes shots at WWE fucking constantly. Even Cody Rhodes did it. Cody Rhodes has done it in both companies. Cody hasn't taken a shot at AEW. But like the whole Terry Taylor's arm drag class, that last promo he cut before he left back in January, like, holy shit, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? It was so fucking weird. Yeah, no, I don't find it hypocritical at all. If WWE went overboard, I mean, they're definitely petty. I'm not saying they haven't taken shots at WWE or AEW, because listen, the whole Piss Ant Company thing, when Billy Gunn was at the Hall of Fame a few years ago, that was stupid. But AEW has taken way more shots at WWE than the other way around. It creates for some fun lines. Like what we got on Monday I thought was fine. Some stuff in AEW works as well. Like if they say to Ruby, so, oh, you were in fucking catering in the other company, that I'm fine with that because it's true. You know what I mean? Like it's funny because it's true. You know, if they incorporate stuff like that, I'm fine. If you just go out of your way to shit on the other company on TV, that's where I'm just like, this is stupid. It's dumb. And what Rollins said also obviously isn't true as far as, oh, the company failed and whatever, so you came back here. That's what a heel would say. He's a fucking heel. Like Cody saying the shit that he did about WWE when he was a babyface supposedly in AEW made no fucking sense. So, yeah, I don't really care for the companies taking shots at each other on TV. People like that sort of stuff. I would rather they just put that effort into improving the product personally, but that's just me. Final question from at E13A as well. Do you think the WWE Women's Tag Team Title Tournament will still happen? So there was a report from Meltzer a day or two ago that the tournament might be off, that there have been no internal discussions about it in the last week or so. There's been no furthering of plans. That does not shock me at all. Will it still happen? Probably. I would be a little surprised if they just forgot about the things. I honestly hope they do, because those tag team titles mean nothing. Sasha and Naomi were right. They mean nothing, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's nothing you can do to improve the status of those championships. They have been paperweights for years. They're not going to improve. They might have booked them better for a month, but beyond that, they will go back to being an irrelevant fucking part of the show. So just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. They shouldn't even do a tournament. They shouldn't have said that. I know they wanted to give people an idea of what was going to happen to the titles, but if they had no plans to follow up on it, they probably shouldn't have said it. So that was silly. Will it still happen? I assume so at some point with the 14 tournament. I've said that since the start. Could it be erased and just moved on from and they never bring up the championships again? That is definitely a possibility, and quite honestly, I wouldn't hate if that happened because the championships mean nothing anyway and they don't exactly need them. Put more emphasis on your current women's titles before you go ahead and creating more. You know, like AEW having a bunch of women's titles is nice, but if they don't give a fuck about the women's division, then what does it even matter? WWE cares a little bit more about their women, it seems like, but not enough to actually book a proper women's tag team title tournament because they clearly don't care. But that's going to do it, guys, for episode 444 here today of #AskGSM. Thank you, as always, for sending in questions. I appreciate it. If you want to do so, you can tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. As I said earlier, guys, cheap plug, check out my upcoming interviews here on the channel with Ezekiel and Joe Gacy before In Your House and Hell in the Cell on Sunday and Saturday, respectively. Two very random interviews, but they both should be interesting to say the least, so keep an eye out for those. I will be recording those, I believe, tomorrow on my actual birthday, so that should be interesting. So keep an eye out for those. Can't wait to talk to you guys soon here on the channel. Have a great one. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.